Hello, I'm Joshua Smith, founder of Fresh Look Bible, and in this video we're going to give you a Fresh Look Bible overview of the book of Genesis. So we're going to cover this entire great big book in a very short amount of time. And it'll help you as you read through and study the book of Genesis to get an idea of the overview, the big idea, the panorama. How do the parts fit in with the whole? And so the book of Genesis is a foundational book to us. It's the book of beginnings, and it lays out so many principles and truths about creation, about the fall of man, about God's plan of redemption, about family. But we're talking about what is the structure of the book of Genesis. What is the natural literary outline of the book? The major and minor divisions, not the chapter and verse divisions, but just the natural divisions of the book. How does it fit together as a whole? So just before we dive into the structure of the book, let's make sure we have a clear understanding of the big idea of Genesis. You see, God creates man, and then man fails God. But God does not fail man. He develops his plan of salvation, and he starts that by promising to Abraham that through his family all the nations of the earth will be blessed. So we have this unfolding drama of redemption, and we have the story of the beginning of a nation through which the Messiah will come and be the salvation for all those that believe in Jesus Christ. It's all started here in this foundation. We see how the drama of redemption unfolds, but we also see how this family struggles to believe the promises of God. All right, so the book of Genesis divides into 11 main sections, 10 of which all begin with a very similar repeated phrase. So we'll see that pattern throughout the book. You have it at the beginning, very appropriately, you have the beginning. And God, of course, creates the heaven and the earth. We see this section in green. And then in brown, we have the first of these phrases that I'm talking about. It says, "These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth." All right, and then we have the next section begins in chapter 5. This is the book of the generations of Adam. This is the orange section here. And then in blue, these are the generations of Noah. In the indigo color next, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah in chapter 10. Chapter 11 it goes in, these are the generations of Shem, and we have Terah, and then the generations of Ishmael, of Isaac, of Esau, and then finally the generations of Jacob. So these repeated phrases are what give us the structure of the book. It's important to know when we have this idea of these are the generations of, it's like these are the sons of, or this is what comes from. So in the first case, these are the generations of the heavens and the earth. This is what comes from the dust of the earth is man. It's a retelling of the creation story found in the beginning. Then you have a big one is the generations of Terah. You know, instead of saying here's where Abraham starts in chapter 11, you back up a few verses. It says these are the generations of Terah, and so that is going to talk mainly about Abraham and his life, but it also talks about Lot, and it also introduces the beginning of the life of Isaac. And that's why when you have the generations of Isaac, it's not really talking about Isaac so much as it is talking about Jacob and Esau, his sons. And especially when you get to the generations of Jacob, instead of saying, hey, this is the section on Joseph, you should think this is what comes from Jacob. This is all the sons of Jacob, because here you have, it starts to talk about the life of Joseph, but in chapter 38, it talks about Judah and Shechem. And if you were thinking, hey, I thought we were starting a story of Joseph, what is this interruption? It seems out of place, but really it's about all that flows from Jacob, all his sons, the whole family, and how they are saved from this drought, and how God uses this family to save the whole earth at the time, foreshadowing how he's going to save the whole earth with the line that comes from this blessed seed of Abraham and so forth. But it could seem out of place if you're not careful. But when you realize this is what flows from, this is what comes from Jacob, then all the story, how the whole family is saved from that drought and ends up in Egypt, and that's the backstory that you need to know to go into the next book of Exodus. One last thing that I'd like to point out for you that's interesting about the structure of Genesis has to do with the genealogies and the blessed line. You'll find that almost every main section of the book has at least one genealogy, but only the sections that are in the blessed line, in other words, the lineage of Christ, contain stories about the people. So you'll see, for example, in gray, the generations of Ishmael, only a short genealogy, no stories. In the generations of Esau, a long genealogy, but no stories about how their life and faith developed. So just something interesting, Genesis is the book of beginnings, but there's obviously a clear line, and it has an end in mind, and that end is Christ, as we know. But it's that unfolding drama of redemption that flows through the book. It's following that line. It's following how God keeps his promises to his people, even when they lack faith in him and try to do things their own way. It's really a great book, and it sets the foundation for the rest of the Bible. So it's very important to get a solid grasp of the overview of the book of Genesis. So if you've made it to the end of this video, then you must have found something helpful about the overview. And that makes me think that you would find the resources at Fresh Look Bible very helpful as well. And we have it in multiple formats now. Printed panoramas, this one's on PVC. You can also get in poster format. We have digital interactive PDFs, panoramas, and we also have the printed books. These are individual books of the Bible, but with the full color coding and the outline bars, beautifully laid out in Fresh Look Bible style. You can get individual books, but you can also get the full set or the New Testament set. If you have any questions, I'd love to help you. You can check out freshlookbible.com, and God bless you.